Hey guys, it's Shell, your rolling MC, and I am the mouth on the mic of Hitting the Streets podcast show. Today on the show, I have Angela Sharp. She is the executive director of Texoma Family Shelter. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, hey, Shell, thanks so much for having me. My husband and I moved here about 3 years ago, and we moved here from Abilene. We have two children, two grown children, and one lives in Australia now, one's in Houston.
That's awesome.
Right, and then we have a really cute little fur kid also.
Okay.
But anyway, I've been with the shelter for about a year and a half as the director, and I was on the board for nearly a year before that.
So you were on the board before you became the director? That's pretty cool. Okay, so you knew all the ins and outs and what was going on before you took the role. So tell us a little bit about Texoma Family Shelter and how they help the community, our community.
Well, so we're a program-based homeless shelter.
Yes, ma'am.
Kind of what makes us unique is that we serve individuals, families, children. We operate 24/7, 365 days a week, so we are never closed. So that's been a little bit different for me being the director. You know, I've never.
I didn't know that. Y'all open 24/7.
We are Christmas, every holiday, everything. Anyway, we're just serving families. We have case management that we offer to our anybody really, but the people that stay with us, our residents. We also offer case management to non-residents, just people from the community. So someone can walk up and say, I need help with community services, and we will help them.
And don't you have, and this just popped in my head, don't you have a thrift store?
We do have a thrift store.
Tell me just a little bit about the thrift store, or tell our audience.
Okay. Well, we take donations from the community. That's what makes us run. And so all of the revenues from the thrift store come back over to help run the shelter. So we heavily depend on our thrift store.
And what are the hours of operations? And when we donate, do we have to physically go in the store, or how do we make the donations?
Well, so we're open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m.
Okay.
Now, Saturday, I believe they close a little bit earlier, so I think it's 10 to 4.
Okay.
But we ask for donations to be dropped off during that time.
Gotcha.
So we can get them, put inside out of the weather and that kind of thing.
Awesome.
So pull around to the parking lot in the back, and somebody will come out and help you unload.
Good. So tell me, what is the most successful program that you guys have there in the shelter, and why? How did it become so successful?
Well, honestly, right now we have one program. The main thing is the main thing. So what we do is we try to help families to get back on their feet. So when people come to us, whether it's a family or an individual, we serve elderly, we serve veterans, we serve, like I said, families, couples. It gives them a space of time where they're not having to pay rent, they're not having to pay utilities, they're not having to pay, everything is free of charge. So they can get back up on their feet, they have time to save money, and so when we help them get into housing or wherever they're going, our hope is that they never have to come back again, only if they want to visit.
Right, so it's a transitional period, isn't it? So is that like, and this is for me, I'm just being curious, it's like a 30-day transition, or are you talking about longer transition, or does it just depend on their situation?
Case by case basis. So we
Gotcha.
have some people that might come to us for, we have a couple of people right now that they have housing opening up for them within the next few weeks. So they're staying a short period of time with us. We also have some individuals that have been staying with us for a few months. It's been a real challenge during COVID.
I bet.
Oh, I know. So if people, for whatever reasons have lost their driver's license, their social security card, if they're trying to, regain those documents, it's taken longer to find those things, or not to find them, but to order them, to get those things.
Right.
Finding employment. A lot of our people, they don't have, when they come to us, they don't have transportation. So one of the things that we do, we have a lovely used but new to us van that we received last year, and a generous donation to purchase it. and we transport people, to be able to get the community services that they need.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that might make their stay a little bit longer is we might allow them to stay long enough to be able to purchase a vehicle.
Right.
So they can get back and forth to work and that kind of thing. So there are plenty of jobs out there, and
Mm-hmm.
we have people that are, very qualified. They
Mm-hmm.
just hit a hard spot in life.
Yeah.
They're, the thing that amazes me, it's people just like you and I
Mm-hmm.
that might have just been, 1 or 2 lost paychecks away from losing their home or their
Mhm.
apartment or whatever,
Mhm.
their vehicle,
Mhm. There was I used to work for nonprofit, and I remember we had I think we were getting ready to do a pit count.
Mhm.
And I remember the lady that was teaching us said, you're $500 away from being homeless, or 2 paychecks away from being homeless. Keep that in mind, when she was training us and teaching us, and that has always stuck to me.
Right.
Make sure you get your stuff together, Shell, because that's a lot, and I see that a lot now. Not that piece, but I see a lot of homeless people. I almost feel like it's growing. I don't remember seeing that much 5 years ago, or maybe I didn't because I just wasn't aware. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah. So I noticed that is. I see more of that now. Maybe I'm more in tune with it now. So if it came down, and I'm just asking this question because this is popping up in my head. If someone actually needed help and I helped them, how does that work? Do I contact the shelter or do they contact the shelter? I'm just curious of how that works.
Okay, so let's say that you run into a family, and I'm not making this up. This actually happened to me since I've lived here in Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a family in a van. I saw the mother and the father out asking for donations, and the kids are sitting in the van.
Mm-hmm.
So in a situation like that, you run into someone who needs help, you're welcome to give us a call and ask, about eligibility and different things like that.
Yes.
But we actually have to speak to the person or the family.
Okay.
So then you would relay that information. We would ask
Sure.
them to call us. We would kind of ask a few questions to make sure they're eligible to stay at our shelter.
Sure.
And so that kind of brings me to something else, if you don't mind me saying.
No, go right ahead.
So part of our eligibility, because we serve children and single moms and things like that, we have to be very careful about who comes in. So if we run people's criminal history, and if they have a violent offense within the last 10 years, then they may not be eligible.
Understand.
If they have a sexual offense ever, then they're not eligible. Right. If they have an offense against a child, whether it's physical or sexual, never. They're not.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
That's good to
they're not
know.
eligible. Now, here's what we do. We don't just say, sorry, you're not eligible to be here. Hit the streets. We actually help them find another place where they would be fit to go. So, like I said before, our case manager, I think that's really, and I know lots of organizations provide case management, but we really were a small staff, we're a small organization. We really try to go above and beyond to help people to the level of their need. So whether they can stay with us or they can't stay with us.
That was great. That was great information, because I always wondered how that eligibility one can do. You guys do background checks, so that's good to know. Thank you for bringing that up. What do you think are the greatest challenges facing nonprofits nowadays?
Well, I think it goes without saying, COVID,
Yes.
the whole pandemic thing has thrown us a curveball. So for us, since I started, of course, I started right in the middle of the pandemic. So, and I know every nonprofit, what's your greatest need?
Yes.
Funding, always.
Yes.
But truly right now, I think not just Texoma Family Shelter, but probably lots of nonprofits, maybe
Yes,
most,
ma'am.
who are small and who don't receive large or any state and federal funding. We don't receive any state and federal funding. So we receive a very small CDBG grant from the city of Sherman. Every year it helps offset a little bit, so it's $5,000. It helps offset our utilities. Other than that, the shelter runs completely on individual donations, donations through churches, small local foundations, that kind of thing, and some revenues from the Thrift Store. And so I would say, most nonprofits right now, during the pandemic, people weren't able to work. People didn't go to church. A lot of times they couldn't. And so, donations were down, foundation grants were down, and so funding is a huge need. And you know, we really, I think we feel a very significant gap in services here in, not just in Grayson County, but really we serve the whole Texoma area. We have people that are referred to as from Dallas. We have people from southern Oklahoma. Right, yeah. So it's not just, you know, local people. We serve our community, however big that is. And so.
You know, so guys, I met Angela. Our first meet was 2020, if I'm not mistaken. We did a fundraiser together. I did a Halloween show, and we raised funds for the Texoma Family Shelter, and it was great. I had such a good time, and we're looking forward to do that again. But that was my first opportunity to work with you, and everything went so well. It was Tommy Sue with Tracy Realty that introduced us and connected us together, and I had to circle back around and get you on the show so people can learn more about the shelter, and me too, for that matter. So you brought up something about, you know, the funds is actually where the needs are, and that was one of my questions. Beside that, what else is your urgent needs for the shelter?
Well, you know, we always, so picture it like this: it's a house full of people.
Yeah.
We have 42 beds. Okay. So because of COVID, we've operated at about half capacity to give everybody a little bit of space. We're open back up again, so we're taking anybody who comes to us. Right now, I think we have about 23 people. But you know, basic needs. So
basic needs. Okay.
We tend to get a lot of canned goods because that's really easy for people to do that kind of thing.
Sure.
But we need fresh fruit and vegetables. We need meat. We need paper goods. You know, toilet paper, paper towels, things like that. Laundry detergent. So just your basic everyday household needs. We're just running a really big house full of this, you know, giant ad hoc family. So yeah, things like that are super helpful.
So before we wrap up, I want to, this is the last question here. If the community wanted to get to know more about this organization better, what's the best way for them to learn more? That's something, do you guys do like programs for people to learn to understand more about the shelter? Kind of tell us a little bit about how we can help in that capacity.
Okay. I invite people all the time and ask them, please come. I will give them, I'll give anyone a personal tour. I love to take people through the shelter.
Okay, good to know.
Talk to them about it, show them. So we've had some really cool things this last year. So in the midst of the pandemic, we also had an adopt a room program going on.
Okay, yeah.
And I think Mayor Gott was our biggest advocate.
Love Mayor Gott.
I know.
I just love her.
She went out to the highways and byways and asked people to adopt a room. And so right now we are having our very last bedroom. We have 9 bedrooms.
Okay.
The very last one has been adopted, and the family is in the middle of renovating it.
Sure.
And so when that's finished, we've renovated about 95% of the shelter during a time when our funding was decreased. It's just the generosity of the community, and really just the generosity of Mayor Gott to go out and ask people adopt a room.
She is. I just love her spirit and her passion for this community. And I know she's the mayor of Denison, but still, she does for all communities. Yes,
she really does.
Yes,
she's wonderful. Well, people can go to our website.
Okay. So yes, I was going to say, please tell us about your website and tell us where we can find you on social media.
Okay. So it's TexomaFamilyShelter.com is our website. Social media, you can go to Texoma Shelter, Texoma Family Shelter, both of those on Facebook.
Okay.
And then we're also on Instagram, Texoma Family Shelter.
Okay.
So, and then you can always just call and ask for Angela Sharp, and I will be glad to set up a time and tell you all about it and answer any questions.
All right. So is there any final thoughts, anything else you would like the audience to know before we sign off?
Well, please come. Our doors are open. Our doors are open for the people who need help. Our doors are open for the community to come in. We always need volunteers. There's a lot of, ton of different opportunities, everything from working at the Thrift Store to working over at the shelter, doing all kinds of things. So please come and see us.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, Angela, for being on the show.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. This is Shell, your rolling MC, and I am out of here.